All right, here we go. Moto Dad podcast number 3, and let's crack them. Rule number 1, Moto Dads, we drink beer and we talk about dirt bikes. Let me introduce you guys first. Sitting here with Steve Fazio, sitting here with Matt Woodman. When I thought about doing a Moto Dad podcast, this is what I had in mind. If you can't tell, which you can tell because our microphones are very sensitive, we're at a dirt bike track right now. That was a dirt bike, wide open. We're in a toy hauler, and we're in the elements, right? So this is where Moto Dad talk happens, right? And I'm sitting here with Steve Fazio, Matt Woodman, who has very competitive kids racing 80s, 65s, and 50s. I mean, you guys are in the trenches, you know. So this is it. That's kind of just to kind of sum up who we're talking with and what this is about. This is a really special show for me because I'm sitting with two dads that I look up to in motocross, who I try to emulate when I'm at the dirt bike track. And now we get to talk about dirt bikes. So let's do it. Let's jump into this thing. Let's start with Steve Fazio. You got two boys that race. Yep. One that races 85 class, and then one that's starting to race 60s and races 50s. What's it like racing with those with two kids? What's it like being out there with two, not just two kids, two competitive kids?
Two competitive kids, right? I mean, Vittorio, every time I put him on the line, just seeing him, walking him to the line gets me excited. That's my best part of the day. Putting him on the line, seeing him get ready for a race, and I know he's going to give 110% every time. Frankie, on the other hand, I mean, Frankie loves to race, but he's not as competitive as Vittorio. That's where the two are different. But both of them together, Vittorio, they're totally opposite kids.
Yeah.
One is all about it, and the other, I mean, he's like, yeah, we go riding today, this and that, that's it, you know. They're not... Frankie loves to ride, but he's not competitive.
I gotta ask, Fazio.
Yeah.
Woodman. Like, does having a cool last name give you... like, does it give you more points? Like, does it automatically... Okay, there was a kid, I can't think of his name now. I can. Okay, Jason Blades. He used to race. You guys might remember him. He used to live at GPF and MTF and race, and he showed up to a race one time, and I was there. It's the first time I ever met Jason Blades. But I was immediately defeated before we even got to the line. Like, I was like, the kid is named, he's in 30 plus B class, and his name's Jason Blades. I'm smoked. Does the name help? Like you know, Fazio and Woodman and like, I'm trying to think of some of the cooler names in the sport, like Wellzine and like all these like cool names. I mean, has it ever gotten in your head somebody's name?
No, not for me. It's just it's just go out there and do it, you know.
Yeah. So you got two boys that race.
Yeah.
You know, Vittorio is very competitive. Frankie's a little bit more relaxed.
That's the...
How do you handle that as a moto dad? How do you handle the differences between them? Like, because you can't handle each kid the same.
Right.
Do you have to be harder on Frankie, who's a little bit more laid back, and then ease up on Vittorio?
No, so it's the other way around. So I got to be harder on Vittorio. Frankie doesn't... If Frankie does something, he comes off the track. If I go in there and start saying, you did this wrong, he'll shut down.
Yeah.
Vittorio, you got to give it to him straight, and he knows, and he'll go up the next race and fix his mistakes. Frankie, on the other hand, you gotta be nice, you know what I mean, and then break it into him a little bit after that, and that's the difference between them. Yeah.
Is that tough? Like, do you ever find yourself forgetting your place with one of the boys because?
Yeah, you do, because Frankie is my little guy.
Yeah.
You know, he can't do no wrong in my eyes. You know.
Yeah.
But Vittorio is 12. He's going on 13, and he's just got that attitude, like he wants it. You know, so you got to be a little more tougher with that.
Now, Matt, let's set the stage a little bit with you. You know, you've been to Loretta's 3 times.
Yep, 3 times.
With Bryson. You know, Steve, you've been to Loretta's.
Once, yep.
That's like a Moto Dad's dream, right? Is this Loretta's thing? like I've always like I remember the first time I ever went to Loretta's, I left there saying I want to do this with my kid. This was years before I ever had a kid. 5 years before I even thought about having kids. What is it about Loretta's that makes it the Moto Dad Dream?
I think it's just the whole getting there, all the qualifying, and once you're there, they say it's the ultimate family vacation. I mean, you're there. We put all this effort in. We literally only ride for 45 minutes when we're there. Right. So it's just the whole getting there, the whole just the family vacation about it. The aspect of it for us is just the best. And with Bryson, he just has a desire to like do good. So that set aside, there's no like real pressure on us after that because he already knows what he wants to do when he's there.
Yeah.
Even to get there, he already knows how to get there for one, and for two, once we're there, it's like, well, we've already made it. So now it's just relaxing for us. We drive around, we hang out with friends, and we just have a great time while we're there.
Do you think getting there the first time, is that the magic ticket, is, getting that first one out of the way? Because we've done the road to Loretta's. It's tough.
Yeah,
it's
tough.
very
It's
tough.
Very tough. Yep.
Do you think it's like, once you've been there, you feel like you belong there?
Kinda, in a sense. And that goes with the kids, too. It's like, he already knows he's been there. He knows how to get there. He knows what he has to do when we're there. So it's just...
Yeah.
Just good time.
Well, that's cool. So, a little update on Travis. We are obviously at a dirt bike track right now. When I left Loretta's, I said we're not riding for 3 months. We're putting the bikes away. Is there something wrong with Moto Dads? Because, like Matt, you called me and you said, hey, we're going down here. The weather looked good. And then all of a sudden, we're packing the toy hauler and we're here.
Yeah.
I said...
That was Minios, right?
That was, yeah.
Minios, yeah.
Minios, so...
Yep.
Oh, what did I say?
Loretta's.
Why would I say that?
We were just talking about
Because you
want
the Loretta's.
I want the
Loretta's.
So what's wrong with Moto Dads? Like, you can't help yourself,
You
right?
can't just shut it off. You got to keep going.
Yeah.
The kids get the desire. You just can't say no. We're not riding for 3 months. We're not built that way.
No.
You want to see. You see the kids outside playing, riding pit bikes, and like, if they ask for it, you got to give it to them.
Yeah. I think that might be one of my favorite, like things about these types of scenarios where you're at a motocross track and yeah, you do your training and stuff, but when you're done, the kids are on the pit bikes, right? Like, why is that so satisfying? Like, we're not on pit bikes. We're not out there play riding. Why is it so satisfying to see them just on two wheels playing? What's more satisfying? Because to me, I had more fun this week seeing TJ do that sort of stuff, like play with his friends,
right?
And ride two wheels with his friends. Like what, Matt? Where do you see the most benefit from Bryson when he was on a 50? Was it pounding motos and training, or was it when he was play riding?
So I have a kind of a different way of going about the whole motocross thing. It's just I let him do what he wants to do. When it comes to riding, you either ride or you don't want to ride. Mm-hmm. You want to ride pit bike all around the house every day. That's fine. It's like whatever you kind of want to do, we just let him do it.
Yeah.
And then for me, riding's riding.
Yeah.
He's on a pit bike playing.
Sea time.
He's out doing just having a good time.
Now, have you guys done any other training camps other than canning?
No, I only did it with Chris.
With Chris.
So we did one at Jimmy Weinhardt's before we went to Loretta's. The week before, we just stopped in because we were just on the way there and we did it. That wasn't so much a training camp, so to speak, at the time.
Yeah. Because
it was just like a Loretta's only kids thing, so they just pretty much just pounded out the motos. They weren't really focusing on the technique riding because we already made it to Loretta's, I guess, is what his philosophy was on that.
Now so my next question off of that is, Steve, you've been to Loretta's.
Yes.
You have very competitive kids on a national level, right? Is a training camp a must? Are these
I think it is, yes. Because especially for Vittorio. So we were training before, say, Minios, and there was this one jump where we were training. If he couldn't hit that, there was no point of going to Minios.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And thank God we went to the training because it took him three days to hit that one jump. Yeah. And at the Minios, that one jump was, if you didn't hit that, you might as well not race.
We did the same thing with TJ. Got him to hit doubles and then went to Minios and he singled everything.
Yep. Listen.
But it makes sense. Now, Matt, you have a completely kind of different philosophy. Yeah, you do the training camps with Bryson, but your philosophy with him has always been, we don't really have trainers.
Yeah.
Is that, are you starting to change your tune a little bit?
I kind of changed my tune on that because when I was growing up racing, my dad was like, oh, I'll just rather put 20 gallons of gas in your bike in a weekend and just go pound out laps. So that was kind of like what I thought was just the right way to do it.
Yeah.
But then last year when we ended up finding about the Wes Craven and the Chris Cannon camp, and I was like, well, we might as well do it because we heard about Fazios came down and did it. And I was like, yeah, we might as well try it. And then once we did just 4 days of training, I was totally blown away just at the technique that even me as a rider, I was like, wow, I didn't even know that's how you're supposed to keep your feet on the pegs that. So I was like, wow, if I would have maybe done some training in my career, I probably could have done something a little bit better with it,
We can still get you a bike.
My wife might not like that.
Now, so that leads me then into the fact that your dad is kind of he's a legendary moto dad. Like, he's always been at the track when I've been around the track.
Yep.
Like, what was it like with your dad growing up and racing?
So for me, it was weird because he didn't have a motocross background. We just kind of got into it, and then he went full bore. Like, we had the campers, the trailers. I mean, one time I had I think 9 bikes.
Oh.
But it was weird because it was all bikes were different. So I kind of look at that now. You just need 2 bikes. That's it. Set the same.
Yep.
Maintain them. That's it. I literally had 9 bikes one time. And it was no, he never thought about training. It was just moto. We just practice all the time, which I love to do. But it's if I would have had that little bit of technique of training somewhere along the lines, it probably would have helped out a lot.
How was your dad when it came to pushing you mentally or handling the stress of motocross?
So that's kind of the way I am with Bryson now. I can still remember my dad he never really yelled he never yelled. It was the weirdest thing. But that was kind of me. I just had a desire just to ride all the time, and I had a desire to do good. So I can literally never think of a memory where he screamed at me.
Yeah.
You need to do this or that. It's I remember at Southwick him just sitting on the fence. I go by and he just waving his hand let's go. It's that's the most emotion he got. But when we qualified, because I've been to Loretta's twice myself, but that ride home after I qualified, that was the best experience. He's like, wow, dude, you did it. We're going.
Yeah.
And that was the most emotion I've ever seen him have on the track. I mean, I'd come off the track, good job, or if I did do bad, he's like, oh, what happened to that moto? It's oh, I don't know. He's like, well, just fix it, just try to do better next time.
Along with that, though, he always kind of carried with him a level of expectation that's unspoken, though, right?
Yeah, in his mind, but I knew that what he wanted, and I knew what I wanted, so we were on the same page in that aspect of it.
Is that kind of a character trait you think guys are born with, or is that something you can gain because for me, I would love to have a level of expectation for my son, right? But I don't want to necessarily just come out and constantly push for it. Right. I want him, and I think he knows sometimes. He'll come in and you can see his bottom lips pouting a little bit. You can tell he knows when things don't go right. But it's very respectful to see a guy like your dad that goes around the track and doesn't berate his son with obscenities, but there's a level of expectation.
Yeah, no, we all, as a dad, we have expectations. But like I said, with my dad, I kind of transpired that to my training with Bryson. It's but like you said, Bryson has an absolute desire to want to do good.
Yeah. And
I've never forced him to ride. I didn't even... I was racing when Bryson started. He was around. I was still... when he was born, me and my wife were still going to the track. I was racing. Well, I remember it was yesterday. I've never, just went out and bought him a dirt bike. It's not what I wanted to do. So he was at Walmart one time when he was a baby, and there was a little razor. electric dirt bike. And he's like, I want that bike. And we're like, no. Well, he talked about it for a week. So we went there, we bought him the bike. And that was literally his first experience on 2 wheels other than a bicycle. But like this little chopper razor thing with the gas, and he rode it around. And then it was like, wow, this is cool. So he rode it around for 2 days. And in our barn, my dad's barn, he had a SX50 for my nephew that was sitting there. So me and my wife were like, let's go grab it and see if he can do it. Sure enough.
The first bike you ever rode was an SX.
SX50. Old, I don't even know what year it was.
So just... you know the clutch was hitting.
Oh, yeah. I got pictures on my phone. He's shooting a roost over the freaking... So, yeah, and he rode it, and it was just like, that was it.
Yeah.
He was hooked.
Yeah.
So then for that was in, like, probably September. That Christmas, we bought him his first PW.
Yeah.
And, like, we've just been going ever since.
That's awesome. Bryson is an incredibly talented rider. Incredibly fun to watch. Like, it's so fun. And, again, I go back to, you are a moto dad that I look up to just because of the kind of laid back feeling that you get, but there is a level of intensity.
Yeah.
I remember when I first came back racing, I filmed you riding dirt bikes for a very long time. I first started racing again, and we went to Rochester for Supercross, and you lined up next to me. And I remember looking at you and going, that's Matt Woodman. And I was like, hey, I'm going to let you go. Do you see in Bryson some of your traits that you had racing? Do you see any of the style or the aggression or line choices? Like, do you ever watch him ride and say, yep, I would have done the same thing?
The only thing I see with him is just, like, that desire that I keep talking about. Like, his style is way better than I've ever had. I don't like to dream about his style.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that's ever watched me ride, like, zero style. Just let's lay it out on the line.
Flat-footed, toes out, wide open.
Just, what are you doing?
Fifth gear wide open.
Just trying to twist the gas, and that was it.
What, I guess I can ask you, Steve, because I want to get into kind of your story as well, but what is it like, and I don't know if this is true yet or not.
Okay.
I'm just guessing. What is it like to have a kid that is faster than you?
It's awesome.
Is Vittorio faster than you now?
100%. I don't even ride dirt bikes.
You ride dirt bikes?
I don't ride.
You ride dirt bikes?
Listen, I put around with the kids. Listen, Frankie blows by me.
So
no.
What does that feel like to have a kid that surpasses you? Matt, you just said Bryson has surpassed you in style. What's it like to...
It's awesome. I want him to keep going. Yeah. Just leave me in the dust and just do your thing and show me what you can do. And that's what this year, that's what Vittorio's done. He showed me what his potential is. Yeah. Like, he told me, Dad, I want to go mini-O's after Loretta's for Frankie. And I said, are you ready? Because Vittorio, one thing with him, big races, he gets nervous. It's all in his head.
Yeah.
Like, big gates, he shuts down. And I said to him, it's going to be a big gate.
Yeah.
This is a serious thing. He's like, Dad, I'm ready. Went there, as soon as that first start, and I knew it. He had it.
That's awesome.
Just ripped right out of there. And that's what I love to see. I mean, Vittorio, he's grown up a lot this year. I mean, after the injury, it took him a while to get back. But, yeah, just seeing him go out there and just riding, doing what he wants.
Yeah.
And loving it.
That is cool. So what's your story, Steve? Because I don't even know. Did you race when you were a kid?
No, not a bit. Not once. I never owned a dirt bike.
Really?
Yeah. I grew up in Malden. I could touch my next door neighbor from my window. I grew up with cement. This is how it all started. I was at work one day. Jessica sends me a video of Vittorio on a P-Dub, just riding around. I didn't even know where the P-Dub came from.
He's just riding a PW50.
Like, yep, just riding a P-Dub. I was like, oh, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right? So Jeff was building him a P-Dub. They wanted to be a surprise. So he's just...
Now, Jeff is...
my brother-in-law.
Your brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Who's kind of a mad scientist when it comes to dirt bikes.
100%.
A very fast, solid rider. I just wanted to set the stage who he was.
Right.
Okay,
yes,
continue.
Yes. Okay.
So Jeff wants to build him a P-Dub.
All right, so they built him a P-Dub, and he's just riding. He was, I think, 4 years old. 4 years old, just riding on the cul-de-sac. And we put him in a race at 207, his first race, and I can just remember running behind him.
Yeah.
The whole track. And then he went over did the plywood double, went down, and I couldn't see him. And I'm running over there. And then Jessica is like, he's fine. So I get back on track, keep running. And then it just, from there, it just kept on going.
Yeah.
Then the next year, we bought him the KTM 50s, first KTM for Christmas. And then it's weird because the year after, you're yelling at him to go faster.
Yeah.
And I was just so scared. It was my first time, I was just so scared of seeing him on the track.
Yeah.
Other bikes flying around him just going, barely making up the hills on the P-dub. I was like, what are we doing here? And that's how it all started. It was just putting him out. He just went out there. No training, no nothing, and just...
Is there
sending
any...
them out.
Now, there's a lot of great athletes out there. Don't get me wrong. But is there anybody that has better cardio than a PW50 dad?
I'm telling you, I almost passed out at least 4 times. At least.
I wish I had the wherewithal to put heart rate monitors on myself when I was chasing TJ around some of these.
It was a lot of
dirt
work.
tracks. TJ honestly just like this week starting his own PW50, so we're starting to get away from the phase where I have to chase him around everywhere and stuff, and I'm jealous. I watch you guys just hang out.
Listen, it took me a while to get there because I had to do the same thing with Frankie.
Yeah.
So it just like after maybe 2 years ago, I stopped running. Basically, just gave up. They got to handle it,
That's awesome. Yeah. So growing up, you didn't race dirt bikes, but you played sports. How was your family atmosphere? How was your dad?
Oh, my dad was very competitive.
Yeah.
Very competitive. I remember on the soccer field yelling at me, stand over here, doing that. He was like a 50 dad, honestly. Yeah. But it was just, that's how he was. My father's an old Sicilian that if you didn't do it the right way, you knew about it, But that was his way to tell me, what to do, how to do this. He always wanted me to, be successful, do the right thing, and I'm not that way. I don't have that mentality with Frankie or Vittorio. I never yell at Vittorio about racing, never get on him about it. The one time I was upset, it was at Southwick for the area qualifier. And he just didn't show up. He was just out there riding along. And when you see that and you know what he can do, it was just, what are we doing this for? Yeah. But that was the only time I ever got upset with him. And
so you've never threatened to sell all the dirt bikes?
Honestly, after today's pit bike race, I did.
That was a rough pit bike.
Yeah, I said, I'm giving it to your brother, or I'm taking it back, yeah. That's it.
The pit bike race.
That's what got me upset.
Matt, have you ever threatened to sell the bikes?
I'm trying to think. That probably just more or less goes along with, not from racing, like,
right.
You did bad, I'm going to sell your bike. It would have been, if I would have ever wanted to, or threatened to sell the bike, it would have been something off track.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, just being a complete knucklehead. And it's like, dude, I'm selling everything you got.
Steve, on the way down here, on the trip down, we met up with Matt and the family and stopped at a truck stop, and the boys managed to set the alarm off on a vending machine. And, so
that's possible,
Bryson and Benny got the alarm going off.
See? Stuff like that. That's when you say, I'm selling everything. That's it. We're going home.
We're literally on our way here, and you're going to shake a vending machine at a truck stop.
Yep. That's come on. Kids being kids, though. But right. I'm selling everything. We're going home. That's it.
My next question is kind of like, I've always been a very, I guess you'd say kind of just standoffish when it comes to pushing my son to ride and race, right? Steve, you didn't race growing up.
No.
Matt, you raced.
Yep.
Matt, you had a very different kind of experience racing than I did. Okay, I was very nervous. I was very timid. So, to me, when I watch Travis start at some of these big races, you talked about big races, he'll start with them. And to me, I am so impressed that he does that anything beyond that, like, I'm okay with. Okay, he went straight back to dead last. Well, he started with them. I wouldn't have done that when I was 6 years old, Right. Do you think, because motocross, why we do it, why I put so much into it is because I want to set my kids up for success in life, right? I want them to be able to go out into the world and handle stuff that you see every day in motocross. Do you think it hurts them to have somebody like TJ who is, when Frankie beats him, he's just as excited that Frankie won as he is if he would have won? Does that harm them more than if you teach a kid to be cutthroat and nobody beats you? Like, at what point do you, like, what's the fine line there? Do you try to set your kid up for life and say, hey, I want you to dominate and I want you to clean everybody out when you get the opportunity to clean them out, because that's what life is, right? Like, if you think about it, you gotta be cutthroat in life, right? Or do you tell them, like, hey man, be happy for your friends, like, relax, because motocross to me is all about competition. It's not about winning, it's about competition. But how do you judge that line? Like, how do you handle with Frankie, who's a little bit more relaxed? How do you inspire him?
It's hard. I mean, Frankie, he gets a good start, he's happy, he's psyched.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows if he hit a jump, he'll come off the track so excited. Say, Dad, you see that, right? And I'll be like, yeah. He'll go to Jessica before he comes to me, because Jessica freaks out, hands up. He looks for his mother first. But I think, Frankie, Frankie doesn't matter about other kids. He just wants to go out and have fun. Yeah. That's what Frankie's all about. Yep. Sometimes, I mean, in the bigger races, he'll say, oh, I beat this kid, I beat that kid, and he'll, it boosts them up a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
I have a hard time with that, because like I see the kids. You see the Justin Barshes that grow up that when they're 11, 12 years old, they're cleaning pros out. Like, they will clean them off their bikes.
Right.
Like, does somebody like that get set up better for life, I guess is my question. I mean, what do you think, Matt?
I don't think.
Is that too deep?
That's too deep
Is
for
that
me,
too
man.
deep?
That's right over my head, dude.
Listen, we just tell the kids, go have fun.
Just go have fun,
just
dude.
ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which
That's
honestly has been my go-to the whole time. Like, I want them to have fun, because this is a vacation for us.
That's
right.
right.
That's
it's
it.
Vacation.
But you get around some of these dads that are very, very hyper competitive and very, very focused on getting their kid to think that way.
Yeah.
Very focused on if you're not taking advantage of every single opportunity, you're losing.
Yeah.
And I just wanted your opinion.
I think if you look at it that way, it's not fun anymore. It's always cutthroat. You got to keep going. You take the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Especially for us. I mean, we just relax. We just go out there. It's a vacation, like you said. It's family time every weekend.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just memories.
Yeah. Matt, is there a moto dad that you look up to?
So you asked me this question the other day, and in my mind, I was thinking back on stories and everything. I don't have a particular moto dad that I look up to, so to speak. That might be biased of me to say that, but I pick certain traits of certain people,
Right.
Yeah.
or moto dads that I can be like, wow, I want to do that, or I want to be like that, or I want to have that thought.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of moto dads that I'm like, yep, I don't want to be like that guy.
Yeah. Right.
So I kind of take my experiences with every moto dad I meet.
Yep.
And I kind of just wow, I would never want to do that. Wow, I don't want to be like that.
So your notes of what not to do is a bigger book.
Oh, way bigger book than, which in turn is gonna be awesome and make me just the coolest moto dad.
Matt just said it perfect right there. That's right.
Yeah. And I do the same thing, because you can have somebody that you look up to and you see them in a stressful situation and they go a direction that you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
The stress that this sport puts onto you is just incredible. Do you think, because you said when Vittorio went to the line, for those first races, you were nervous.
Right.
Do you think that would have been, do you think you would have been more nervous had you had a full life of racing dirt bikes and you actually knew? Because this sport has massive consequences.
Right.
Boom.
Yeah.
What did you have to learn those consequences? Were you ignorant to it when you first being a guy that's not from moto?
100%. I was every time they go out, I still cringe. You know what I mean? It's something. Anything can happen, and it's always in the back of your head. I mean, this is why we do the training, to keep them safe. That's the number one thing for us. Keep them safe out there. Know the right techniques.
Yeah.
It's tough because I didn't grow up with this.
Yeah.
So it's tough to just put him out there, and especially me telling him to do something, when I never did it myself. It's tough.
Yeah.
These questions are so hard, Travis. My God.
Dude, they get tougher.
No, that's not good.
Wait until I get into the math questions.
No, I'm good at math.
Hottest day of the week, and I put a giant light.
Yeah, and I wear long pants because I thought I was gonna be in the camera here. So You know, my legs on fire right now.
So your leg's on fire because you went out and helped a rider on the track earlier this week burn your leg really bad.
Yep.
What is that like? Is there a calling to always kind of help?
I think so. I mean, in a certain degree. I mean, the kid was in a tough spot. There's no way he was getting up by himself. He was hanging over the berm. He would have been laying there.
Yeah.
There was no one else around.
Yeah.
But I think the kids have to learn to pick up their bikes themselves.
Yeah.
You know, if they can. They're not hurt or anything, yeah, get up and keep going. That's the name of the game.
Yeah. Look at you, Moto Dad.
Yeah.
Out there,
Moto
burning
Dad.
your
Yeah.
leg.
Burning
ended
it.
up in the ER last night.
Yep.
So anyways-
infections.
Matt, back to my question, because we didn't get to finish it, right? Bryson is hyper-focused on winning. Are there ever times where you have to hype him up?
Not really. And that goes back from an early age. It's just like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
I said, I want to win. So we'll go out there and do your best. That's it. He doesn't win, I just say, no, well, what happened? It's just like, did you try 100%?
Yeah.
That's all I ask. Just give me 100%. Me and my wife, his mother, we give 100% all the time. We give him the best bikes that we possibly can do, best everything, and it's just like, give me 100% all the time, and that's it. But he knows that.
Yeah.
Like, that came from an early age. He just wants to do good.
You talked about giving him the best bikes. How important is bike maintenance? How important is it to put in? How much work do you put in compared to how much work he puts in? I guess let's put it that way.
Well, that was the thing I always say. See how much work I put in. Just like, he trains, exercises, not as much as I would want him to, but I can't make it a full-time job for him, because then he'll just absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
You want to go, but he's always riding his bicycles, and he's always on the trampoline at home. He's an active kid.
Yeah.
We don't even have cable at home, and he doesn't have video games. He just doesn't play them, because he's just always doing something outside, or even in the wintertime at home, he rides snowmobiles. Sun up till we get home, till I have to literally yell at him and say, can we be done for the night?
So what's the plan with Bryson this year? What are you guys hoping for?
So this year we're just hoping to keep like last winter we came down to West Craven and we ended up riding 13 days for the whole winter, and that was like amazing. We did 4 trips, got 13 days of riding, and it was like unbelievable. So we just want to kind of do the same thing if we can, and our goal is to go to Loretta's again. That's our big push again, because he wants to go. And then we're going to try to do the Minios thing this year as well.
Nice. What about you with the boys? You got 2 boys with 2,
Different styles.
different styles.
Yep.
What's the goal with those guys?
Same deal. Just Frankie's got the Loretta itch. Vittorio definitely has it because he went there last year to watch Frankie, and he sees what it's about and definitely wants to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a tough class this year, but from what I'm seeing, I think he's ready to do, show up at least. He's putting in the time, riding a lot. He's showing me that he wants it, and I said it. You show me that you want it, I'll do what I can, do my best to bring you there. And we're gonna do. Yeah, we're just gonna go for it.
What do you think, Steve? What do you think is more beneficial for a kid? 85, 65s, 50s, anywhere's in there. A full weekend of racing or a weekend of practice and just riding?
See, for Vittorio, it's practicing and riding. For Frankie, I think it's racing. Frankie needs to race the gate drops and going fast as he can. That's what Frankie did. For Vittorio, he likes to work on techniques. Like Vittorio will do a lap and say, "Oh, I got to work on this corner. I know I messed up." So he'll sit there, cut the track, and just keep working on that corner.
Yeah.
See, it's 2 different, totally opposite kids. Vittorio knows what he did wrong. He'll go out there and work on without even me telling him.
Yeah.
He knows better than me, honestly. So, and then Frankie has to. He's one of those kids that needs to race gate drops.
What about you, Matt? What's better for Bryson? Gate drops or just riding?
He likes gate drops.
Yeah.
He likes the gate drops, but for me, as a dad, I think just practice. I mean, what is a race? It's organized practice, right?
Yep.
So, I like doing the weekends at the practice track, getting in a lot of time, and then, our goal is always let's do 3 practice weekends to a race, but that never works out because he wants to go hang out with his buddies at night and all this stuff. But
And a race is more than a race. It really is. It's, you know, you're right. It's about them being with their friends.
Yep.
And,
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's
the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the coolest race you guys have done? Let's exclude Loretta's because obviously that's the biggest one. What's the coolest race that you guys have been to?
Matt, go ahead.
You go first.
I'll go
I'll
first.
try to think here.
Let's set the stage.
Yeah.
I'll break the ice.
Like, is Minios count?
Minios counts, and
Yeah,
Minios was awesome. But I haven't done Loretta's with my family yet.
Right.
I've been there 10 times, but
Right.
not with my family.
Yeah.
That was just an incredible race. Second to that, maybe New England, not New England, the Kawasaki Race of Champions. That was an awesome race. You know what? Other than Minios, let's say not an amateur national. What's the coolest race? We're all from New England.
Marshfield Fair.
Marshfield.
Oh, yeah.
Hands
there you
down.
go. Right.
The best, coolest race of the year for us, basically, other than the Loretta's thing.
And that gives me a Moto Dad story right there.
Yeah.
Matt, I went down to Marshfield Fair with Travis when he was on a PW50. He was 4 years old, as green can be, and I was as nervous. Matt had to talk me off a ledge. He was like, "Look, man, why are you so nervous?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm
You
just
see it for
nervous."
fun, man.
Right. I know.
Matt's like, "You gotta chill," and I'm like, "Yeah, you can. I'm nervous. God, my kid's gonna get landed on." Marshfield Fair is such a cool race just because it's tight, it's small, it's not dangerous for the little bikes. For
Big bikes, yeah.
Oh
So
my
hang
God.
on.
it's a ride.
I just like the whole experience of the Marshfield Fair. You know, you practice, and then there's a good intermission, and we get to go to the fair.
Yeah.
You know, the kids get to go on rides and have all
Right.
this food, and then it's like, oh, hey, we got to go back, and then
Yeah.
go back and race.
Go race
And then
mains, yeah.
I like how after the race, they have to go up on this thing and talk on the mic. I think that's awesome.
Right.
So just the whole experience with the lights and the Ferris wheel in the back when they're racing the lights is cool.
The events with those little touches, right? With being able to talk on a microphone, or like Chris Canning at this camp does the champagne thing, or like those are the things that I think stay with the kids the longest.
Yep.
You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Like the race could be the best race of their life, but if there's not that little touch, you know, like that little extra piece of the event, you know, like a podium or the coolest trophy they've ever got, because we have a million trophies.
Yeah.
You got to get something different now to hold on to that thing.
Yeah.
That's like Frankie at the Racetracks last year when he got the AMA one with Bryson. Him and Bryson on
Yeah.
that stage, that podium together was the best. He talks to it to this day. He loved being on that
Yep,
podium
on
with
stage,
Bryson.
Yep.
And that was an interesting race too, because Frankie, you know, there was a class that Frankie fit in age
Yep.
bracket, and he fit but he didn't have a bike for it. So
Right.
you borrowed a bike from Matt.
Yep.
And Frankie looked huge on
It
this
looked
thing,
ridiculous
right?
on it.
But
I
it's
said
and we're on the line talking a bunch, and you're like, man, I don't know about this.
it's questionable.
But it's not questionable.
The matter was
because
like, just send him out there.
it's his age bracket,
It
right?
is.
It is the class he fits in, and you had this feeling inside like you were cheating because Frankie was gone,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But that's not. If it now, how do you feel about that, Matt? I'll ask you first, because you think about the PW50 class, right?
Yep.
The kids out there are Frankie's size. They are big
They're huge.
kids. They're
Yep.
monsters, right?
Yep.
But they fit the age bracket.
Yep.
Should there be a different metric added to this other than age bracket? Or if that's the age bracket you fit in, run it.
So we had a similar situation this year. AMA race, MX207. I think it's called the main
State.
state. They had a 4 to 8
Yep.
special limited class, which the bike that you were talking about that Frankie rode, I had Bryson ride that bike this year.
Yeah, he
That's
kicked
right,
my
right.
boys.
Because it was
The
the
Ford
class
Yep.
that they had. So you
Yep.
say, you show up to these races, and if they have that class, and you fit that class, and
Yep.
you're in the age, and you have the bike,
Put him in it, right?
put them in it. It's like, we're here.
This is what we're here for, right?
That's what we're here for. To
Has
race.
anybody ever looked at the wall at your house and asked for the story behind the number one plate? Or do they just look at the number one plate and go, wow, that's really cool. Look at all the number one plates.
So the number one plates are hidden in Bryson's bedroom on his wall. Like,
Oh.
not hidden, but they're in his room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he loves those plates.
Yeah. I've said it before. My number one plate, the TJ1 at a main state championship, is in my gun safe.
Yeah.
That's how cool that meant.
Right.
I don't talk about the fact that there were only 3 other kids in the class.
No, it doesn't matter though.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You
He
got that.
won the
and that's obviously it's more common when you go to the bigger races. These kids are big. They fit the age group. They're huge, but it's basically glorified pit bike racing sometimes at these races, you know? To me, I wouldn't feel bad if your kid fits the bill, because, you know, my kid's still tiny, but if he hits a growth spurt, next year we're out there racing, I can see people targeting us and being like, hey, what are you doing? Well, bud,
he's in the class.
Yeah, he's in the class, and we worked our butt off for 4 years to get here.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, to me, I think if you fit the age bracket,
and I mean,
100%.
really, everybody does it.
Everybody.
And you have to age out of a class now.
You should.
It's just the way it is.
Even Grant, on the last podcast that we did, said, I would rather my kid grow out of the bike, right? Overgrow the bike than be too small. Now, there are way different schools of thought on that.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Steve's going to be in that boat next year.
Yeah. Yes,
with
you
Frankie.
are.
Frankie, right.
Well, they made the e-bike class 4 to 7.
Yes, they did.
So Frankie fits that class.
Yeah.
But he's just the big kid.
He's going to be a big kid.
He's a big kid.
If he's only going to be AMA 7 next year.
Yeah.
So he's got 2 more years in that 7-8 class.
On the e-bike.
Yeah.
So you're going to be on the line with jumper cables.
Basically. Yeah. Matt's going to be running down for me again.
Running down the hill again.
Yeah.
Man. Stop the race.
Right.
Shut up his bike.
You know, I've talked on different podcasts about this, and I think I talked to maybe Grant Carter a little bit about this, is, you know, a lot of these classes from the local level to even the amateur national level, I look at them as development classes, right? They should be development classes, because I watch my son progress, and I watch Bryson, and I, you know, seeing Vittorio, and what they're doing is building a library of knowledge in how to race a dirt bike, right? So when they get to the professional ranks, if they make it there, they have all this knowledge of you know, built up over their life of, here's how to do it, here's every situation you're going to be put in, and here's how you handle it, right? Does the fact that we have AMA #1 plates for these development classes, does that distract from the fact that you're there to learn? Should we get rid of AMA #1 plates for 50s, 60s, and 80s, and maybe start at Super Mini or start at the big bikes? Is that something we should do, Matt?
I don't think so. You know, I think it gives the kids something to look forward to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're going to AMA race this weekend. Well, that's going to get the kid excited, like, because if he wants that plate. Like I said earlier, Bryson's got those things lined right up in his bedroom. He's got his little strip lights shining on, and he looks at them all the time. We went to Dublin Gap, and he was on the line, and like, dude, what are you thinking about? He's like, I just want that plate.
Yeah. I'm
like, do you want the plate or you just want first? He goes, well, you get the plate, you get first. He goes, I just want to do good. And it kind of goes like to the same thing, like you talk about developing the years. It's kind of like the same thing in school, right?
Yeah.
Kind of goes hand in hand with like honor roll.
Yeah.
If you're going to get rid of the AMA plates, well, just get rid of honor roll, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So my kid likes his AMA plates. Well, my kid got honor roll. And it was like, wow, dude, good job. He's like, yeah, I just want to get that little piece of paper that says honor roll.
Yep.
And he did it the first quarter. He just got his progress reports, and it was better than his first.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I just want honor roll. So it kind of, for me, goes hand in hand. It's like, it gives the kid something to look forward to.
Yeah.
He likes the plates. He likes holding the plates up, the champagne. It's like, all for the event. Like, he loves it. That's my kid probably on the pit bike.
So yeah, Vittorio, yep, that's all of them. He's blowing them up.
That is Bryson.
Bryson and Vittorio. Yes, I called
Two
it.
knuckleheads.
Oh my god.
No, so back what I was saying.
So I would change the oil in those pit bikes.
No, that's good. They're fine.
That does make sense. And it gives them something to strive for. Yeah. I made a point at Minios. We didn't qualify for some of the classes. I made a point of getting Travis to the podium to watch the podium presentations in his classes.
Yeah.
Hey, here's the kid that won in your class. And he saw that and he's like, I'd like to do that one day.
Yeah.
All right,
Right.
cool. Well, now
That
we'll go work
gives us
on
something to
it.
look forward
Yeah.
to. And on that same, I'm going to speak for Steve here with Frankie. So I have a little guy that races, and he didn't want to race. We were there. He didn't want to race. I'm not going to force the kid to race. I never will. Never
Now
have.
you're talking about Benny.
My Bennett, my little guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bennett. Yeah. So I said, hey, you want him to ride this bike to Steve, Frankie, excuse me. And he's like, I'm like, dude, just do it.
Yeah.
Like, he's gonna go out and he will do good. That's his class. He's got the bike. He went out and he won. The smile on his face was unbelievable.
Right? Yeah.
And I will honestly say, for the rest of the half of the year, he didn't ride the bike that he used from us, but you could see he had that little extra drive.
Yeah.
Like, the whole rest of the year, he had like this drive because he got that plate. He got to go on the podium. We got the Moto Moms, got all the pictures and everything.
Right.
And it gave him that extra push.
Yeah.
That the kids, we give them that, and if they want it bad enough, they're gonna go get it.
I agree. Travis wasn't as obsessed with that plate as much as I was. Like with TJ, he's very much like, yeah, whatever, you know, with just about anything.
Yeah.
You know. What was it like with Frankie, you know, up on the podium?
Oh, it was the best. I had to walk away because I was bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not take the pictures. I gotta go. But just seeing him out there, thanking everyone, and just being up there, it was just, that's what you're there for.
Yeah.
You know, that's the experience that you want. And that was the proudest moment of my life. You know, just seeing him up there hold up that number one plate. Just thinking about it, I get choked up. You know, seeing him experiencing that.
We'll talk about it a little bit more because we've never had anybody cry.
Right.
On the Moto.
No, listen, I'm not crying. Just being so proud of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah. No, it's. I got emotional on my ride home from the main state championship where I had a number one plate sitting on the dashboard and my boy in the back, you know, just passed out, tired. I got emotional. I'm like, oh, man, he did it. He got a number one
It's
plate.
like you're doing something right, you know? I mean,
what do you think is the intensity level of a Moto Dad compared to other sports? Have you been around other sports? I mean, what did you grow up doing for sports, Steve?
I did soccer and football.
Soccer and football.
Yeah, there's nothing like motocross. Nothing at all. You got dads. I mean, yeah, football. You got the dads out there screaming, fighting, and you got the 50 dads, like craziest. You know, they're out there yelling at the kids. The kid's doing awesome, and I'm just right next to him. He's yelling, "Go, go! You got to do the." The kid's out there. He's doing it. It's his first race. You know, he's flipping out on the kid.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like that. You know.
I think this is one of the only sports where your dad is your coach.
Right.
Yeah.
Your dad is your mechanic.
Right.
Your dad is all of these things. So I think a dad at a motocross track has a hard time. Like for me, I like being a mechanic. I like that aspect. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I also like being a coach. Like I love that part of it. I love the coaching aspect of it.
I love being on the. Sorry to interrupt. I
No.
love being on the line with my kids and talking, hyping them up.
Mm-hmm.
Like with Frankie, we sing a song. He gets us to do his little swear, and you know he's ready. You know, Victoria, I gotta do totally opposite. I gotta tell him you gotta do this. You gotta get out there before everyone. You know, it's that moment is the best part for me.
So.
Yeah,
That's what you said when he said the swear. He's like, wait, what is this about?
You said the swear. My wife and I told Travis he could swear on the line.
See? Yeah.
He still won't do it.
Yeah.
What is so tell me with Frankie, what's your line, what's your, because
So
everybody has their thing.
We sing a song, right? The Limp Bizkit song. It's all about the he says, she said, and he says bullshit. You know what I mean?
I gotta bleep that out.
You gotta bleep that out. I'm sorry. You
But
know?
that's good.
But that's what we do. And then he gets all excited. And it's, I love you, Dad. You got this. And then he gets in the zone. Victoria, you gotta be more serious, but you gotta hype him up. I try to make him laugh. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
I tried it both ways. And you just gotta be serious. Like, dude, you got this. Love you. I know you can do it. And when I see Victoria line up, I know he's ready.
Yeah.
You know, he's in his zone.
What is the one thing that you make sure you say to them or do before they leave the gate?
Love you every time. You got this. Proud of you. Love you. Both of them.
Matt?
I just say have fun.
Yep.
And sometimes Bryson will get emotional and give me a hug or something. Then I say, I love you. But just go and have fun. Just do you. That's what I say. Just go do what you know how to do, man.
Daniel Blair had a good way of getting Evan, his son, kind of hyped up. And his way would say to him, Evan, do you believe that you can do it? And Evan would kind of look at him, yeah, and he would say, I believe in you.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I've taken from Daniel to Travis is I say those things. I believe in you.
I know you can do it, right?
I know you can do this.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget, like, it's so crazy and things happen so fast that sometimes I forget the I love you. And I think that's an important thing to say to your kid before they do what they do, because again, you talk about the weight of this sport. We have all been at the track where things don't go right, things go wrong, and those moments are scary. And there are things that happen and you never get to talk to your kid the same again. Like, there's head injuries that are just ridiculously traumatizing. Those, and we all have those things. Like, I have those things every time we go to the line where I say, just don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Like, let's make it through this.
Make it through this.
Right? Like, especially the last motos of a long week or a long day.
Yeah.
You're like, all right. Yeah, we could win, but also...
Let's go out, be safe, man.
That's it.
Ride the track.
Be safe, right?
Ride the track.
So those... When you talk about your pre-moto kind of... Sometimes I forget, but most of the time, one of the most important things I say to TJ is, I love you.
Yep.
And have fun.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my biggest thing with Bryson. Just, dude, go and have fun. Go do you.
That is the driving force behind everything that I try to do with my kids, both Molly and Travis. Like, hey, great job. What you're doing is amazing. Think about our kids. Right. What they're doing is absolutely incredible, and it's not normal. Our kids are not normal, right?
No, by one bit.
Right. You can't be normal to do this.
No.
So the standards that we're setting at a dirt bike race are arbitrary compared to what they've already accomplished. And it's so important to remind them of that. Like, you're special. Like, you are incredible. You are enough, but you can be more.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So, on the last show, I caught a little bit of heat because we talked about the Mount Rushmore of Moto Dads, right? But we didn't talk about the Mount Rushmore of Moto Moms. So, I'm going to put this out there. Like, we need to build this. I don't think we're going to get it done today. Obviously, Ricky Carmichael's mom is probably the GOAT of this one.
Yeah.
Millsaps, Colleen.
You didn't even mention her in the last one.
I didn't even mention Colleen.
Like, where did that not come from?
I mean, she was my boss for a while.
Yeah.
I feel,
Like,
so, like, what are some of the other moto moms out there that have been, the pinnacle of the sport? And we should get that debate going. I haven't thought much more past, those two, but they're out there, and we got to start talking about them and figuring them out. We'll get there, but before we get there, you got any cool Moto Mom stories? Because Moto Moms, we talk about Moto Dads all the time.
yeah.
A Moto Mom is a Moto Dad when the door shuts to the toy hauler, right? Like, because I've come back from motos before, and I'm like, dude, TJ, nice job. Like, great start. That was cool. This was cool. And then I go in the toy hauler, and my wife's standing there, and she goes, "Are you gonna say something, or am I?"
Right. Yep.
And I'm like, I just did. We just had a full-blown conversation about the race. She said, "You said he did a good job."
Yeah.
He did. Is there... Give me... You gotta have a Moto Mom story.
All right, so we're at Minio's, right? Vittorio's in his LCQ for the Supercross. I can see Jessica. I'm in the pits in the mechanics area. Jessica's running back up and down the track on the side, just following Vittorio, right? Hands up because he got into third place. She is freaking out. It was awesome seeing Jessica, jumping up and down, this and that. And then he qualified. and she literally ran out onto the track. She's on TV, on the video, on the YouTube. They got her cheering like this, right on the track. They're running back. They're going to catch Victoria as he comes off the track, and just seeing that was the best moment of my life.
That's
you know,
awesome.
seeing Jessica so excited.
You don't see moms stepping out into that sort of action at a race that
Right.
often. You see him get excited and stuff,
Yeah.
but that's really cool. Like
yeah.
she was right in
She
there.
was right. She was like almost onto the track, like
Yeah.
freaking out. But don't get her. Jessica she'll tell you how it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Tori, you didn't do this. Before I even get back to the trailer, she's already yelling at Vittorio.
Yeah.
You know, before I even get there, I'm saying, you gotta calm down, Jess. You know, I gotta be the voice of reason. It shouldn't be like this.
Do you think there's a disconnect with a moto mom? Because we always talk about a disconnect between dads and moms and dads that did race and dads that didn't race, right? We always talk about, if you didn't grow up racing, if you don't physically get on a dirt bike and try it yourself, you lose some credibility to be a crazy moto dad, right? You can't. You got to take it down a level because you don't know.
Right.
Well, what about a moto mom? Because a lot of these moms don't grow. My wife can ride a dirt bike, but she's never had to race, and I think there's a disconnect there when I come back, and she's expected all of this, and I just watched my son ride really well.
Yeah.
But she's not happy. Is there a disconnect there between mom and dad? Like you think about Brittany. How much Brittany is your wife, Matt? How much expectation does she have on Bryson that maybe, like, have you ever asked her to get on a dirt bike and try to
No, I
line
wouldn't
up?
do that. No, I wouldn't do that. No, she knows. She knows what he's capable of doing.
Yeah.
And as long as he's giving 100%, that's all we care about. But there is times when she will say, dude, what was that?
Yeah.
And literally that's all she has to say. And he's like, he knows.
Yeah,
Like,
he knows.
He knows what he did. And most of the time when he comes off the track, he knows what he did or didn't do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we really don't have to say much. Our facial expression sometimes, we just give him the look. And
Say
it's
it
just
all.
like, that's it. I'm not going to sit there and yell at him, and Brittany's not going to sit there and yell at him.
Yeah.
You can tell when Bryson comes off the track, he knows.
Yeah,
You know,
he knows if he did good or if he messed up, or
Right.
Yeah.
for the most part.
Well, so I'll throw it to you, Steve, because again, you guys are two guys that I look up to at the track. So let's say there's a moto dad listening to this that's just getting started, with his son or daughter on a dirt bike, and they're just kind of getting into this and they really want more. Like, what's a piece of advice you would give to somebody, whether, they're working with 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids?
Just go easy at first. Don't jump in it all at once. See if the kid really takes to it. Don't force it down their throat. Especially for you too, because it's a learning curve for you too. I mean, going out there, working on bikes. If you've never done that before, it's tough.
Yeah.
You got paying someone to do it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. I mean, it's if they're going for it, then yeah, you put in 110% and keep going with it.
Matt, you had it happen this week where we had a couple of kids at the track here doing the training camp, and one of them had a filter that hadn't been cleaned, and it was a stock filter, and a bike
filter.
was 16
hours
hours
on the bike.
Yeah.
The other one, his kid, he had a bike that the choke was on the whole time, and the bike wouldn't run. Like, would you suggest at first figuring the bikes out instead of pushing really hard?
Yeah, I mean, you could just flip through the owner's manual real quick and say, you gotta change the filter or this or that. But I mean, people just don't know. But it's kind of like, once you get the bike and get to the track, it's like, wow, I just want to be here, and I get that. And that's why I literally will help. I help those guys out. They didn't ask for help.
Yeah.
The kid came off the track. His bike was running like crap. I hopped in my little pit bike, went over, and I said, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, filter, carburetor dirty, something. And I happened to look down, and the choke was out. I shut the choke off, started the bike up. So there goes one kid. Another kid right next to him. That was the kid with the bike with the air filter.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I have to change my air filter?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I grabbed tools, cleaned this filter for him, oiled it up, got it going. The bike still wasn't really running that good. Cleaned the carb.
And we roll our eyes at situations like that, right?
Yeah.
But we had a conversation after where you have to be accepting of that behavior because they don't.
They just
They
don't know.
Right.
So now I just taught that individual, like, dude, you gotta clean the carburetor, you gotta change your air filters. I mean, that's just basic maintenance.
Do you think it's impolite to see a kid like that doesn't have numbers on his bike, or maybe has duct tape numbers and he's like a beginner? Do you think it's okay to spark a conversation with his dad and be like, hey, you know, how things are going with him riding? And oh, good. Well, how about maintenance? Like, are those things that you think we should bring up more often?
Those are things we probably should bring up,
Yeah.
but I'm not just gonna be like, because somebody could interpret that like,
Yeah,
dude, this guy's
right.
a dick. Like,
Yeah.
no. So if I see a problem, I will never
Be
not
the
go
first
over
guy,
and
yeah.
help somebody.
Yeah.
Anytime I do it all the time. I actually almost missed one of Bryson's races, gate drops, this summer. Because I was helping somebody clean a carburetor on Cobra, which I'm very familiar with how to work on those things. I heard the bike start up. I started running. Brittany goes, where have you been? I was like, oh, I was just cleaning the carburetor. And she kind of like, yo, you were cleaning a carburetor? But then after the race, the guy came over to me. He's like, dude, that bike ran so good. Like, thank you so much for that help. And then she's like, she knows. I'm always there to help somebody out.
I think it's easy to forget that aspect of it, you know, because I'm very blessed in that I am particular with my dirt bikes.
Yep.
I spend a lot of time on them. I may have forgotten to wash a bike last night, but it's okay. It's okay. It lasted the day.
Yeah, perfect.
But you know, it is tough. Maintenance is everything.
Maintenance
on
is
these
everything.
things.
Yeah.
You know, what does it feel like? What is it? I ask a lot of people this question, but Steve, what does it feel like having a kid out there on a bike that you maintain?
Oh, it feels awesome.
Yeah.
You know, because you know, you working on it makes him ride. You know, he's out there because you keep an eye on the bike. You know.
When I was a kid, I raced NESC, and I got the Ironman award for a season. You get the Ironman award for finishing every race that you start.
Yep.
And I think in NESC it had to be every race. I don't think you could miss a race.
Yeah.
My dad took the trophy.
That was his trophy.
That was his trophy.
That was his
Right.
trophy.
You know,
Right.
he took claim to that, which honestly, you don't see a lot of credit given to these dads that put all this time in, because it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work.
That's like us. Bryson's been racing for 5 years now. He's literally, with however many gate drops we've done, his first year racing, he DNF'd one race, and that was because I literally forgot to put gas in his bike.
Oh,
I was probably helping somebody else out. But we've been racing for 5 years, and that was his only DNF that he has ever had.
that's cool.
Was I forgot to put gas in his bike.
Yeah.
Which says something about my maintenance.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to be a moto dad, you're going to spend long
You
nights.
gotta put in the time. Yeah.
That's my thing. We spent all this money to get here. What, I'm not going to
Give him the best bike that
change
possible,
the quick
right?
oil for
Yeah.
Right.
a couple bucks here, or
Yeah.
wash the bike, make sure everything's good.
Matt, Steve gave some advice. What do what would you say to somebody just kind of getting into it, a moto dad that sees it, loves it, maybe they've gone to the track for a year and now they're all in? You know, what's that piece of advice?
I would just say, if you already made that commitment and you're in it, just look around. Just observe, talk to people. You can't just, you have to set the stage. Look around, talk to people, figure out, know where your spot is, and to learn things about the sport. You can't just be like, oh, well, you should go out there and win.
Yeah.
Well, you need to figure out who you're around and what, other kids, how long they've been riding for. So, some people say, wow, that kid's wicked fast. We'll never be like that. Well, Bryson's been riding for 5 years now.
Yeah.
Your kid's just starting out. That's he went by a couple 125s today. Okay, well, Bryson's been riding for 5 years. You just started last year. You can't get down on yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Be like us, going to try, play football at a professional level. No,
Right.
one, we're not built that way,
Yeah.
but two, these guys have skills, real world skills that they've gained. Is, to set the expectation of a dirt bike track, my wife and I had a conversation last night how a lot of the kids here are not normal kids in the fact that a 9-year-old is not a 9-year-old at a dirt bike track, right? we are around a lifestyle that is different, and it's a little bit punk rock. It's a little bit, redneck. It's a little bit of everything. And because of that, your average 9-year-old here is a 6-year-old. What is it like having a kid in an environment like this where they grow up so quick, right? Like, our kids are gone. We haven't been with our kids for 2 hours. Right. I know they're all right.
Yeah, no, they're good.
They're probably in the woods swearing and
riding dirt bikes.
Is it different? Is it a different life than other places? Like, you grew up in the city.
Yep.
What do you think the two, compare the two worlds?
100% different. I couldn't go down the street without someone being with me. You know what I mean? And then, like this, I wasn't used to it. Being comfortable just having Victoria go off with another family that I never even met. But it's just the community. It's just everyone's so tight and just watches over everyone, takes care of everybody.
Yeah, because our kids will end up at dinner with a family that we met like, 5 minutes ago.
Victoria, come back for dinner. No, I already ate. Where'd you eat?
Yeah.
I ate over here. That's what I love about it.
What do you think with the boys? Like, Bryson is a very he's a grown-up kid.
Yeah, no, he definitely is a grown-up kid. Very mature for his age.
Has this environment contributed to that positively?
I think so. Absolutely. Yeah, because he's a bastard rider, and all the kids, they want to hang out with him, or he hangs out with them, and, the moto community and the kids, for the most part, are accepting of him, and they go hang out and stuff. So he's hanging out with 14, 15-year-olds like nothing.
That's what I say. The older kids actually take to the younger kids,
which is
great. Very
That's
cool.
the thing we do. So, like, when we go back home, it's like, that kid really just do that? Like, how old are you? And it's like, wow, he's the same age. Like, so they do get to that, but that's where us as parents need to step in and be like, dude, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you gotta stop. You gotta chill.
I get nervous when my kid goes to school, and I'm very lucky with TJ. He's not boisterous. He's not, he doesn't brag about where he is on the weekends. Like, they don't even know he rides dirt bikes. He won't talk about it. So I'm pretty lucky in that aspect where I don't think he's going to run in there like laying F-bombs. But I'm waiting for the call.
Oh, yeah, waiting for that call.
Mm-hmm.
And that conversation with the teacher is not going to go the teacher's way.
Yeah.
It's going to go in the way of, he's not a normal kid.
Yeah.
Right? Like, have you had to have any conversations with authority figures in the boys' lives because of the lifestyle that they live?
Yeah, Victoria just taking a golf cart and just picking up kids in the neighborhood and just riding around everywhere, and then flying into the driveway with the cops behind him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing? I see the cops coming up the driveway, and I go outside and handle it.
Yeah. The kids are used to just driving around golf carts.
Yeah. Just take the golf cart. See you later. Yep.
To me, I like that. Right?
Right.
I like that because I grew up in this environment in dirt bikes. I grew up with that punk rock lifestyle. I don't want my kids to ever be detrimental to society, right? I don't want them to tear things down but I do want them to think for themselves and be like,
exactly.
A little fearless, right?
Yeah. You know? I love that aspect of it. I don't know.
That's great.
That
brings me back to the story. So we were at main event, riding around golf carts. I feel like a really bad parent, kinda, but like the golf cart was behind the camper, and I was just so focused on everything else, helping out people and doing this and that. I'm talking, we're like a week later, the next weekend. Maybe it was like 2 weekends. It's like, dude, your son, Bryson? No, Bennett. I'm like, what do you mean Bennett on the golf cart? So my 6-year-old's just driving around the golf cart. Nobody said anything the whole weekend.
Ripping donuts. That was awesome.
But he's pretty far away from where we were parked, just doing cookies on the golf cart and got kids on there.
You want to know the best part about that story, Matt? I'm doing bike work.
Yeah, shit.
Because I'm stressed out that weekend. We had bike problems that weekend. So I'm doing bike. I'm wrenching and I'm sweating. Benny pulls up on the golf cart and just e-brakes it in, right? And TJ's on the golf cart.
Story.
Right?
TJ's
this is the life we live. This is it.
TJ's on the golf cart with him. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, we're just riding around. And in the back of my head, I was like, well, if Matt thinks it's good,
Yeah, Matt knew
whatever.
nothing about
Man,
that.
no idea.
An hour later, I think they hit a pedestrian.
No.
The drinking beers.
Yeah, I didn't think
like,
anything
they're
of
good.
it.
They're good. If
Yeah.
Matt thinks it's cool, they're
Right.
they're
Didn't
in
even
there.
know.
Matt didn't even know about it.
Nope. But at our house,
Daddy.
we have some land, and
Yeah.
Bennett just,
Just
hey,
rips it.
Dad, can I take 6-year-olds? Hey,
Yeah.
can I take the golf cart around? Yeah, go ahead, be safe. Wear your seatbelt. We make him wear a little helmet.
Yeah.
And he just drives around hours, just around the yard on the golf cart. So
That's the best part.
And again, it sets these kids up for a life of. It's an easy life, right?
Yeah,
like,
it
hey,
is.
get in that tractor and drive it.
Right.
No
Drive
problem.
it. Right.
Boom. Good. Done. You know, like a sheltered. These kids that are sheltered, especially, like I see some of TJ's friends, school friends, just don't. They're stepping out of their comfort zone is going to grab a drink in the fridge.
Yeah.
Like seriously,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, you know, and once these kids spend a week at a big race like Minios and they're racing and they're doing this stuff, they can do anything in life.
yeah, exactly.
So,
Like
Oh, it's
Bennett,
cool.
he's gonna have no problem getting his driver's license.
oh man,
Yeah, yeah.
Other than him doing
License.
cookies in the.
That was
Yeah.
the best time of my life when I saw that.
When,
That was so
when,
fun.
When Bennett, do you think during his driver exam, do you think he rips the e-brake up? Like
We
just
might have
throws
to teach him
inside
not
of it?
to do that.
Yeah.
We'll have to definitely teach him not
Yeah,
to
this
do
is
that. Oh man.
Awesome. I mean, what? How long have we been talking? Almost an hour. So,
Nice.
I think we've covered a lot. We got to have fun, talk about dirt bikes, talk about our kids riding dirt bikes.
Yep.
From here, with the Moto Dad pod, I'm gonna try and get some other cool guys on. I got to do a cool conversation last night with Chris Canning. That I'll probably put out before this one, but
Yep.
that was awesome to
That's
hear.
cool, yeah.
Hear kind of his views of things from a trainer's aspect and what he's seen, and also that guy has a really cool story.
He
you
does.
know?
Yeah. He does.
I think that's another thing that a lot of people don't get. When you meet people at the track, you don't get that backstory from everybody right away, right? So you have no idea. Like Matt meeting you, somebody would be like, oh, that guy's really cool and laid back, but they have no idea that you've got 3 broken femurs, like two trips to Loretta's,
Yeah,
like
trips to Loretta.
but
Yeah.
you laugh, but that's a badge of honor in this
Yeah.
sport. When they talk about Pastrana, he's done a ton of cool stuff, but he's also broken every bone in his body.
Yeah.
Probably 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's I guess one of my biggest pieces of advice that I could give to a moto dad getting into it is when you talk to these guys, you don't know.
Yeah.
Like you have no idea who you're talking to. You could be talking to a guy that raced pro for 10 years at the track because they're standing there and they don't look like a professional athlete. They look like an average guy, right? That's the cool thing about motocross.
Yeah.
You can be an average guy and get on a dirt bike and be, whoa, like who is
Right.
that? You don't know the backstory. So, when you're talking to people, listen to what people have to say.
Exactly.
Because you could,
Listen to the stories.
Yep.
there's been times I went down to track in Florida and I was talking to this guy and he had some neck tattoos and I'm like, oh, this guy's, he's a moto dude. You can tell, but I'm talking to him and he, gave me a couple little pieces of, things to work on with TJ and I was like, cool, man, awesome, appreciate it. And, I was like, hey, what's your name anyways? And he said, oh, Ben Riddle. And I was like, whoa, like the Ben Riddle? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, I've never seen you with your helmet off, but wow, I just talked to Ben Riddle.
That's
Like, that was
awesome.
cool. Ben Riddle was a dude that, was, Davey Millsap's, one of his biggest, competitors growing up. You just don't know at these tracks. Because a lot of people are there and they're hanging out and they've been there forever.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Well, cool. There it is, Moto Dad Pod with 2 of the coolest Moto Dads in the paddock.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you guys so
Very
much.
much.